Hello and welcome to this tutorial for LEGO Harry Potter Years 1 through 4. In this video we are going to be doing the level 1-5 or the Forbidden Forest. This is again quite a short level in no cut, but it's one of the ones that will require the most amount of practice because it has some quite tough tech. Not too much in the way of 1P2C, but some very tough tech. You see, the first thing we did was follow the ghost arrow. In the first room I actually moved with player 2, because player 2 stands a little bit closer. In the second room moved with player 1, because player 1 is closer. In this room you can move with either, but I like to move with player 2 here. Player 2 is just kind of a straight right line, which is a little bit easier. And now what we've got to do here is what's known as bridge warps. Bridge warping is basically a wrong warp off the side of this bridge that gets us to 0, on the map, which happens to be just by Hagrid's hut, which is absolutely perfect. I am going to do a more in-depth tutorial of this because this is one of the most complicated tricks in the run, and you have to do it multiple times. But in order to do this, basically not target the student, that won't help. Target Ron with Wingardium Leviosa. As the Leviosa kind of appears around Ron, Ron needs to put his pet down by pressing B, because he's on the pet spell at the moment. And then once the pet is put down, with player 2, you basically want to hold down and spam the jump button in order for Ron to get up. So I'll try it here. So pet goes too early. Okay, so you see that time Ron didn't get didn't fall off the edge. Let's try that again. And there we go, that time he went over. That's a very difficult trick, but I'll go over that more in depth at another point in another video. But for the moment now we enter into the level itself. And this level is good because there's very little in the way of 1P2C here. Very little actually. In fact, the first thing we do when we get into the room, once the game finishes loading, the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to drop out player 2. Because we don't need player 2 in there. And then before we move Fang at all, we're going to switch to Hermione. I'll get rid of this wasp. So what we don't want to do here, we're going to obviously move over to the right, but we don't want to move Fang, because nudging Fang can mess up a trick kind of later in this room. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to come over to here. Get rid of this plant, just because it makes it a bit easier. You can do this jump without a plant, but it's easier not to. And then what we're going to do is switch spell and double jump, and you want to end up landing here, basically. So if I come back down, show that again. This is quite difficult to space out, but there we go, we land about there. And then Hermione's going to make her way over to the right. When Hermione passes kind of the line of this mushroom, the red mushroom which is in the background, once Hermione passes that line, you want to start dropping in player 2, and hopefully player 2 will drop in as Fang, and Fang will warp up. So I'm going to start dropping in player 2 now. And you see, there we go, Fang came up to the upper level, which is what we need. That basically skips what you're supposed to do in the first room. Fang will then come over here, use the dig spot, and you can position Hermione near the door. Now, you can either drop out Fang here, or you can drop him out about a room or two, or you could drop him out in the next room. It depends what you want to do. Keeping Fang dropped in is a little bit faster here, but it is more or a little bit harder. So both characters need to come over here though, and Hermione needs to use Lumos on this. And then one of the characters needs to break the bush, or the vines here. You can either shoot them with Hermione, or you can use Fang. Fang walking into that transition is slightly quicker, and that's why we keep Fang in, saving literally like 0.2 of a second, if that. But then when we're in this room, we drop out Fang, and we've got 3 more Lumos jumps to do. Each of these Lumos jumps, well, this first one's quite easy. Just stand up here and double jump up. There's plenty of room actually for that one. This one here is probably the hardest Lumos jump in the game. You kind of want to ignite Lumos about here. And then what you want to do is Lumos jump, and then at the peak of your jump, you kind of want to hold right and spam jump, and hopefully you can get up. Like so. But you see, if I do it too early or too late, Hermione will slip and fall down here. So let's try it again. Ignite Lumos here. And again, that was a bit too early. But there we go, that time it was just right. And then come over here. And what you want to do is, you see you've kind of got these two green circles at the moment. They spawn a plant, one of the annoying Lumos plants. But also in the middle you have this kind of brown patch, and that's going to spawn a mole. Or a weird magical creature. I don't actually know what it is. But basically what you can do is you can ignite Lumos beforehand and land on that mole, and Lumos jump off it before the green plants can actually get you and deal damage to you. It's quite tough to be able to do, but I'll try and go for it here. So jump on here. So we didn't quite make it in time that time, so we just have to reset like that. But if you do it right, it should look something like that. And then you get up, hug this wall, so you avoid getting grabbed by this plant. You can kind of hug this wall along the side, and that finishes the level. Okay, so there's a lot of tech going on in that level, which is why this will take a lot of practice. I'm going to show what it looks like if you try and do it a little bit faster optimally. Okay, so doing this again, but this time doing it a little bit faster. I'm going to start off with moving player 2 through this room, because player 2 is definitely the quicker way of doing this. And then player 1 in this next room. Again, because player 1 spawns a bit closer to the door. And then player 2 in this room. In this room, I like to change Ron to Pet Spell and Harry to Wingardium Leviosa. And then we do the bridge warp here. And for some reason that didn't work. I think Ron spawned a bit too low there. Again, I'll make a tutorial where I go over that in full. But we go into the level itself. First thing we do is drop out player 2, move Hermione kind of out the way of Fang. And we did remove that plant. There we go. And then I can start dropping in Fang, nice and early. So yeah, you've got to drop in Fang by that mushroom, or sometimes he won't warp up. And if he warps up, that is quite an unfortunate time loss. I think it can be like 30 seconds. So now we have this Lumos jump. Actually what you can do is use this piece here, and that makes it a lot easier. That's just RNG whether those pieces are actually nice or not. But when it is, that's why I like shooting that plant, because when it does work, it's really good. And you see we got the jump there that time as well. We got the jump off the mole straight away, which means we skipped hitting the plant, so that was pretty clean actually as a level. But yeah, that's it for the level. It's very complex, needs a lot of practice, but it's a very fun level as well. So thank you very much for watching everyone, and I'll see you in the next video.